What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity build a video. Today we're going to be talking about the high-level contest of mayors math. Now, I've been kind of waiting for everybody in my group to start to level up before I did a whole bunch of high-level videos. So those of you guys who are just transitioning from the Missy's Building Guide Part 1 and 2, okay, so Part 1 is where you kind of go through and you meet all of the requirements, you max everything out, you continue to win the Mega League for several months, and then at some point you decide you're going to unlock a regional map, in which you are now considered a high-level CoM player, meaning you are now not camping anymore, and you are going to continue to do those assignments moving forward, right? The upgrade assignments. Now, that being said, you're going to use a technique that I refer to as the Contest of Mayors math technique. This is going to be the best method to draw out the right answer. So if you are unsure of which assignment you should be doing, this technique is going to be the best one that you can use to figure out which is the correct answer. Now, in order to use this technique, you're going to need the high-level CoM guide, which you guys should have the link for that. What I did was, instead of typing up an entire separate high-level CoM guide, the breakdown guide, I added on to the guide that was already there. So in the red lettering or anywhere where it says high-level players only, that is the high-level part of the guide versus the low-level. So low-level is just the regular part, and then it says in, red bold letters for high-level players only, and then it tells you the rule for high-level players on each assignment, okay? Now, if you have not already, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. We are almost to 2,000 subscribers, which is super awesome since the channel's only about a year old. So like I said, make sure that you're subscribed and that you've clicked that bell notification so that you know when I go live. I am going to be going live a lot more in the next couple of months, especially after the November sale, because I'm going to be doing a lot of design streams. So for those of you guys who are waiting for that November sale, and you guys are just trying to bank in some wins until then, I am going to be doing design streams at the beginning of November. Okay, so let's get started. High-level Contest of Mayors math. Now, this link will be available in the description of this video, and it will also be available in the mentoring packet and in the on our Facebook page. Okay, so if you have the Android version of Google Docs app, it's going to open this up just like this. And what you can do is you can click the three dots here and hit print layout. Okay. And this puts it in a better format. Now, high-level CoM. Start off. We're actually going to put it back to the way it was just because that's dark. Okay, start off any CoM by setting the scene. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what setting the scene is, it is in the breakdown packet. It explains what you should be doing. Setting the scene is basically looking at what you know about that city. So if you're grading somebody else's list, or if you're looking at your own, you're saying, okay, I'm level blank, and this affects me how? Well, if you're level 28, you don't have Omega unlocked. If you are below level 36, you don't have a certain amount of factories unlocked, or vice versa, or certain tokens or whatever. So knowing the level will dictate certain things that you need to know about what choices you have and how they're going to affect your downtimes and things like that. The next thing is followed by task assessment. Now, the task assessment is where you go through your entire task list, and I've done this countless times on the walkthroughs, and you say what you know about each task, the definition of that task, right? So how it's going to kind of intertwine with your gameplay. So, okay, this one's marked with an M, meaning it's a main task. It's 2K or higher. It takes priority over anything labeled with an R, which would be rotatable, or anything labeled with no touch cancel. So now that you've done your task assessment, your task breakdown, and you're setting the scene, you have a pretty good idea of, you know, what your first choice is going to be, what things you need to prep, all that good stuff. Okay? Now, how do you determine what is the correct choice when the choice is not obvious? So an obvious choice would be like, okay, I started the contest of mayors, and the highest task in my list is an upgrade work hard for 3,000. That's your obvious first choice. It's the highest in your list. It's great an opportunity, and it's easy to do, right? Okay, so now when the main tasks are gone, or when you, and the reason I'm not going to stick to when the main tasks are gone is because there are times where you continue to get 2,000 point tasks and you don't get anything better than that because you're working that same place value, that same doorway. So the idea is that you are going to change things up a little bit and grab one of those low premiums from the bottom to try to get things to bring better value, like 2,000 points and higher, so that you're not just sitting there doing only 2,000 point tasks. Now, that being said, once the main obvious choice is gone is when the contest of mayors math is most used. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to start off with formula number 1. Now, formula number 1 is when you go through the entire list, okay, and you take anything that is labeled with an M and you analyze it and say, okay, does this task take priority over anything else? For example, do you have like a London 3K upgrade that you can do? Then you should do it, right? That would make sense. But let's say that all of your main tasks are gone. So now you're only looking at the ones that are R, the ones labeled R, the ones that are rotatable, nothing that should be considered no touch. Now, no touch could include, let's say it's a factory task and you're very close to the streaks. You wouldn't want to open up the possibility of that coming back multiple times in the streaks. So you would want to leave the long factory tasks, or really much of any factory tasks that take longer than 2 hours. So chems, anything that would be chems and longer, you would not want to rotate before streaks, at least right around 10 tasks before the streaks. That's when you would not want to do that. So right around 30 tasks remaining, you stop rotating those types of things. Now, you picked out all of the rotatable options that are decent, okay? Now, if you don't know what those rotatable options are that are decent, you're going to go through and you're going to label them and you're going to say, okay, anything that is 1,500 or higher gets value up. Okay, and I need to put that in here. So anything greater than 1,500. Let me see here. Hold on just a second. I forgot to. Anything. Where's the greater sign here? Greater than. I'm actually just going to write it so you guys don't get confused. Okay, anything greater than 1,500 in value is value. Okay. This is for Formula 1, okay? So any task in your list that is a rotatable task would mean that it is not in the main task value, right? So anything that is 1,500 or higher gets a greater, or is greater than 1,500 or higher gets a value +1. Now, hang out a second here. Okay, now, anything below that is going to get a value -1. So let's say that you're looking at a list, and on that list, you have, let's say, a 1,500 chairs, right? And a 1,200 Latin, and then a 1,000 VU, okay? Now, the 1,500 chairs gets a +1, so value up. The other two are below 1,500, so they get value down. And you go through all of those, all your rotatable tasks, and you mark them that way. Now you go back through and you do value opportunity. Now you have opportunity within value. So if you have a 1,500 point task, you're not only benefiting from that 1,500 points, but you're benefiting your list from opening up that place value so another task of that value or higher can pop up, right? So value opportunity always matches the value. So if value opportunity, or it doesn't always match the value, but the value opportunity, if you have something that, let's say it can be worth 3,000 points or higher, the opportunity of that value is greater, right? So now we have opportunity. What are you opening up by doing this task? Are you opening up better stuff, or are you making the opportunity worse, right? So these are things you have to know about these tasks. You have to know what their algorithm rate is, what the risk is, all that stuff. And it's all in the Contest of Mayors Breakdown Guide. Once you have done Formula 1, you go through and you see how many pluses you have on each one. Now, for the task that I listed was a 1,500 chairs, which would have value +1, value opportunity +1, and opportunity would be okay. So you would still give it a +1. So that is +3 on the chairs. Now that's for low level CoM. You would be focused on the chairs. That's what you would do if you were doing low level CoM, because you can't do the Latin upgrade for 1,200, and you can do the VU launch for 1,000, but the chairs is 500 higher. So now you would start weighing out value difference, and that's where Formula 2 comes in. Now, you guys are not playing low-level CoM, you're playing high-level CoM. So what I just listed to you was the definitions for low-level CoM. So let's go back through those same tasks and list what we know about them for high-level players. Now, high-level players, you don't typically get a chairs task to repeat itself. Now, chairs tasks are not premium for high-level players. They cannot be worth 3,000 points. The only reason they're considered premium for low-level players is because low-level players can't do upgrades. So that is in placement of their premiums. It's basically the one thing that they can do is the production. So that being said, the chairs is low in opportunity for a high-level player because it's only got +1, right? Which is just okay. Whereas a high-level player, if you were to look at the Latin, okay, the Latin is lower in value, but it has a much better opportunity because it can be worth up to 3,600 points. Now, this is where Formula 2 comes in, where you do a task versus task comparison. You pick out anything in the list that would look like, that would basically be the top 2 to 3 choices max. So if you have a list of, let's say, 7 assignments you're comparing, 7 rotatable options, let's just say that, you're picking out the top 2 or 3 that you are unsure of. And then you're reducing it down to Formula 2. So now you have, like I said, you have the chairs for 1,500, you have the Latin for 1,200, and you have the VU for 1,000. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Formula 2, and we're going to look at value difference. What is the value difference between the top 2 highest tasks? Which ones are premium and which ones are non-premium? So the value difference in the chairs to the Latin is 300. Those are the top 2 highest. The value difference from the chairs to the VU is 500, right? Okay, so keeping that in the back of our mind, now we go down and we look at VP, value possibility. This is where are they premium or are they not premium? Okay, so the Latin has a VP of 3,600. The VU has a VP of 3,000. And the chairs, pretty much about 2,000, right? And they rarely come back. So chairs are not looking too hot right now, even though they're the highest in the list. Right now, we can take 300 less points, do the Latin, and open up a premium option with a value possibility of 3,600 points. That's looking like our best option right now. But let's keep looking at what we got to look at here. The type of task. Is it main, rotatable, no touch, cancel? Always look at that, okay? If you're comparing two main tasks, let's say a 2,000 and a 2,200, you have to determine which one is going to bring you better opportunity. If you have a main task that is at 2,000 points, but the value possibility is 2,000 versus 3,000 or higher, then odds would say that you would want to go with the other one because it can bring in more points later. Now we have history. This is exceptionally important, and this is why I always tell people to keep track of what assignments they do and take screenshots. Knowing the history of your tasks. For example, let's say cargo. Cargo is 1,800 points. It either comes back repeatedly or it doesn't come back usually at all. Now, as a low-level player, it holds one of your 2K place values, and it's great to rotate. But as a high-level player, not so much, because it can only be worth 1,800 points. And you guys can do upgrades and other things. You rarely do this task. And especially if it continues to come back, right? So looking at the history of how many times this assignment has come back and of what value would speak greatly to which one you should rotate. For example, let's say that you have a 1K VU and a 1K London delivery, but you've already done the VU several times, or you've already rotated it and it just came back in worth a low value. Then you would want to rotate something else like the London 1K because you've already rotated the VU and it hasn't been good to you. So now you're looking at the history, okay? Now, moving on, we're looking at downtime/cooldowns. This one is exceptionally important. When you look at downtimes and cooldowns, you are looking at how is doing this task going to affect me later. If I pick to do, let's say, feed that takes 2 rounds, how much downtime am I looking at? And is that downtime during active wartime? That's important as well. How is taking this downtime going to affect me moving forward? Am I close to the streaks? Are they going to potentially come back in the streaks, causing even more downtime? So let's say you have a 2,300 feed and you are at 25 tasks remaining. You start to do streaks right around 20 tasks remaining. So you would not, even though you have maybe wars ending and you have bedtime and now would be a great time for you to do the feed in that term, you have to look at how is it going to affect you if it comes back. So just because it fits into your lifestyle and your plans right now doesn't mean that you should do it, right? You need to look at, okay, wait a minute here. If I do this now, just because it fits into my plans now, and then war starts and I get to the streaks and I do the streaks and then I get feed again, how is that going to affect me then? How is it going to waste my active wartime moving forward? The streaks and what you rotate before the streaks, what you leave sit, what you don't leave sit, you have to look at all that stuff. And I did a video recently on that, so I highly recommend you watch that one as well. Okay, game. This one is also exceptionally important. They're all important, but these ones are very, very important, and they have a lot more to think about. For example, the game. What's going on in your game specifically that would put something at priority or not priority, right? So maybe what's special in your game? What makes your game unique? What do I need to know about your game that is going to change the overall decision? For example, a high-level player that is level 70 is able to do their factory tasks in one round versus somebody who is level 30 something or even 40 something. Downtimes. Are you stuck on a cooldown for an epic? Are you broke? How many regional maps do you have unlocked? What is it? Is your regional HQ gone? There's things that go on in your game specifically that you need to take into consideration when making your selection. That's what that part is for. So what you're doing essentially is you're taking the 3 tasks that we were looking at, and you're taking all of these things into consideration, and you're listing them all. And you can do this on paper even. And you could say, okay, right now we're looking at which ones are premium. Okay, so right now we want to make sure that we're opening up premium possibilities. That's the idea when you play high-level CoM, is that you're always rotating low premiums for high premiums later. Okay, so anytime that you run out of high premiums, you rotate high premium or low premiums for more high premiums. It's extremely rare that you even rotate low non-premiums. The only time you rotate low non-premiums as a high-level player is when you have no low premiums to rotate and no main tasks, which is rare. Okay, so you're looking at your list and you have no low premium options. Nothing in your list can be worth up to 3,000 points. Now, let's say that it's a 1,700 medal, okay, versus all these other, a 1,200 epic and a 1,500 coins and a 1,200 repair and a 1,500 monster, things like that, right? Let's say you have a 2,000 monster. I would not do that if it was close to the streaks, if the monster was close to leaving, because the bottom line is you're not opening up opportunity when you do the monster at all. You're only opening up the place value, the points value. And that 2,000 points is not as important of a place value as a high-level player as it once was as a low-level player, especially when you have no other high-level points values in your list. So nothing's being blocked by it sitting there. So all you've really done is open up the possibility of it coming back worth more and having to be done. Now, it is going to come back. There's no question about that. It's just a matter of, is it going to come back higher or lower? If it comes back higher, it has to be done. If it comes back lower, it is left to sit, and you've opened up no more opportunity than what you already had, right? But except for now, all you've done is rotate something that has no possibility of being worth 3,000 points. Now, essentially, like I said, what you're doing is you're looking at a list, you're rotating all main tasks. Then you're looking at your rotatable options, and you're rotating all low premiums when you are out of main tasks. When you end up with a list with only low non-premiums is when you do your highest non-premium with the best opportunity with the least amount of risk. Okay? So rotating epics and things like that, coins, that's usually not something that you do as a high-level player. The only time you rotate epics, typically as a high-level player, is when they are holding a main task value. And that is after all of the other ones, all the ones that are actually premium, are done. Okay? Unless they're at like 2,400 points. That's a little bit different. So, now you've looked at downtime, you've looked at the game, what's going on in your game, you've looked at the history in which you've completed the task, and if it's just continued to come back with a low value. You've looked at the type of task it is, the possibility, the value possibility it has, the difference in value. Now you're looking at algorithm, okay? This is very similar to opportunity. So the algorithm of the task is going to affect your choices greatly. For example, let's say that you have you have a hotspot. That one's always worth 1,100 points, okay? So that particular task, though, given that it's always at the same value, it does not typically pop up very often. So let's say you have a 1200 epic versus a 1100 hotspot. The epic is higher in value possibility, but lower in opportunity. And opportunity trumps value a majority of the time, right? Because essentially, when you are not doing a main task, you are wanting your future tasks to pop up the highest possible points values. So when you have an 1100 hotspot, you're taking 100 less points. Now we're looking at value difference. We're taking 100 less points. Value possibility. Well, value possibility is only 1100. Okay, so value possibility is significantly higher on an epic. The type of task. Well, epic is rotatable, and so is the hotspot. So they're both in the rotatable category. The history. Well, I know you haven't done hotspot, probably, because it doesn't typically come back. So looking at how many times have you done epic. Don't just do the epic because you have one going and it's convenient. You know, that you don't want to do that. What's going on in your game? Do you have enough coins to do the hotspot? You know, what's going on is, do you already have an epic going and you're just trying to do it for convenience? Don't do that, like I just said. Downtime. Okay, epic comes with a downtime. Hotspot does not. Now, algorithm. This is the one that's important in this instance. The algorithm is very, very minimal on a hotspot, meaning it typically does not come back, meaning it would have a better chance of opening up something a lot better futuristically than the epic does. The epic has a much higher chance of continuing to come back around. Now, I went through the CoM guide and I labeled algorithm with low, medium, and high, and then extremely high on the things like monster and whatnot. So you have to know that opportunity and algorithm are judged by low, medium, and high. Something can have okay opportunity, and then something can have really good opportunity, and then something can have great opportunity. The hotspot, opening up opportunity there is great because the algorithm is so low, right? The points are so low that the game typically gives you a higher kickback. Anytime you do a task worth 1,000 points with a low algorithm, that means you have greater opportunity. It's going to normally kick you back a 3,000 point task, right? So in this instance, you would not open up a non-premium option with a higher algorithm rate with a cooldown. See where I'm going with that? You would take 100 less points to open up better opportunity with no cooldown with a lower algorithm rate. See what I'm saying? Now, you wouldn't know any of this unless you went through this checklist and did your math, okay? So, formula 2 is used, I should put a 2 there. 2 is used to evaluate the entire list, so that would be formula number 1. Is used to evaluate the entire list first, okay? So you don't want to go, essentially, you see what we just did with all the things that we had to look at? There's no reason for you to go through and look at all of those things on every single task if every single task is easily rule outable, right? So if you can easily say, I already know I'm not going to do coins for 1,500 over, Latin for 1,200, then there's no reason to even put coins in the equation. You can easily rule that out. So essentially, by doing formula number 1, you're looking at what things you are going to evaluate. That's what you're looking at. Once you've picked out the tasks in which are questionable, then is when you actually begin your analysis. And then you go back through, starting with formula number 1, looking at value, value opportunity, value difference, value possibility, all of it. You got to look at everything, okay? Now, once you've done that, you can draw your own conclusions with, okay, a task versus task comparison. Never put more than 3 possibilities into Formula 2. It should be pretty quick and easy to rule out and bring it down to a task versus task comparison of only 2 tasks. Now, let's see. It says once you have picked out 1, 2, 3 tasks that are high in value and good in opportunity, then you will start a task versus task comparison using Formula 1 and Formula 2. So here we used an example list, okay? So let's go through this. We have, we're going to set the scene. That's why this is important. We have a level 28 with 1 regional map unlocked. Tasks remaining is 30. 3 days remaining. Okay, so you always want to make sure that you have the right amount of information to draw out your own conclusions, because all of this stuff matters. The level tells us how many factory slots they have, what items they have unlocked, what features they have unlocked, what tokens they have unlocked. That tells us a lot. Tells us how quickly they can get factory productions done. Tells us how quickly they can get shop productions done. All that good stuff. With 1 regional map, this tells us they're a high-level player, that they're not camping, that they're able to do upgrades. The tasks remaining tells us when they're close to the streaks and when they're not close to the streaks. That, again, is going to affect how we make our choice. The time remaining tells us roughly where they're at in terms of, do they actually have the ability to finish on time? Are they in my group? Because if they are, I'd know what their war schedule was by their time remaining, etc. Okay? So all this stuff matters, and it matters greatly. Now, we're looking at this. We have a VU launch for 2,000. Now, this is a high-level player, so remember, that's what we're going to focus on, is high-level CoM. Now, a VU launch 2,000 with 30 tasks remaining means that this VU task just came in with this value. So we know that either it's been done or it just came in with 2,000 points, right? So keep that in the back of your head. Now, upgrade regular home is at 1,600. This one has a value possibility of 2,400. It's non-premium. We have an upgrade Latin, which has a value possibility of 3,600. That is a high premium. VU repair, which is a rotatable non-premium for low-level players, but pretty much a no-touch option for high-level players, because there's pretty much always going to be something else in your list that brings better opportunity, that is either equal or higher in value, or brings better opportunity in general. So Epic at 800, that would be labeled no-touch. Coins at 14.95 for a high-level player would pretty much be labeled no-touch. And Launch Attack in Club Wars, that one is at 1,000, and that's a premium option, so we need to consider that. So, how to do the math? Starting with formula number 1. We're going to start by looking at all the tasks that are high in value. Okay, so we've got the 2,000, 1,600, 1,600. Well, the VU repair we can already rule out, right? So we can cross that off. Now, remember what I said about you're going to look for low premiums, right? Which ones in this list are premium? The Launch Attack and Club Wars, and the Latin, and the VU. Okay? Those are our premium options. Upgrade regular home is not premium. So, of the premium options, we have Upgrade Latin for 1,200, VU Launch for 2,000, and Launch Attack and Club Wars. Now, only one task reaches the main task threshold, which would be the VU launch. However, if you look closely, there's 30 tasks remaining, meaning that this task just came in with a lower value. That brings better opportunities, so we need to rotate a... Hold on. It just came in with a little bit. It does meet the 2K average, but we are wanting to open up a task that brings better opportunities. So... is there any task within the list that opens up something better than the VU? Now, VU is a hit and miss. It's one of those tasks where either it's going to be really good to you or it's not. And when it comes in worth 2,000, depending on the history, and that's kind of where the Formula 2 comes in. Have you already done VU several times and it just keeps coming in with a lower value? Then you probably wouldn't want to do it again, right? But if this is the first time you've seen it, then that's questionable. You know, you got to look at what your other options are. All other tasks in the list besides Launch Attack and Club Wars are non-premium. Okay, besides the Latin. I'm going to have to add that in there. I don't know how I missed that. So here we go. We've got the VU launch for 2K, Upgrade Latin for 12, Launch Attack and Club Wars for 1. Okay? Now this is where we begin Formula 1 and 2 for a task versus task comparison. VU launch 2K. VU launch is the highest in value, so it gets +1. VU opportunity, or value opportunity, highest in value, +1. Opportunity just came in, we're 2K. So even though it can bring good opportunity, other tasks could bring better opportunity. So we're going to give it a +1 because it has an okay opportunity. Now the value difference on the Latin versus the VU is 800. The value difference on the VU and the Launch Attack and Club Wars is 1,000. Okay, so now we have a value possibility of 3K for the VU, making this a premium task. But both other tasks are also premium, and Latin is a high premium, which means it has the ability to be worth 3,600 points. Downtime. There's no downtime for this task. Okay, so VU does not have a downtime. History. This is where you would look at, has this task been done? And if so, how many times? Keep in mind that you want to open up other doorways if you are getting repeat tasks of lower values. So let's say that you've continued to do this doorway, so to speak, and you either keep getting 2,000 point tasks or right around 2,000 point tasks, or you keep getting a VU assignment repeatedly of a lower value. That's something you want to watch for. G would be game. What's going on in your game? Is there any reason why this task should take priority over the others, such as cooldowns, is war ending, lack of items, timers, etc.? Limited time. Is this task on some kind of timer that can only be done during war? That kind of goes with the game. I just put in limited time there to separate it for you guys. Now we're looking at the Upgrade Latin home. Upgrade Latin, the V is lower. It's lower than the VU, so it gets a -1. Value opportunity is lower, so it gets -1. But opportunity is good, not okay. It's good, so it gets +2, right? Kind of basically evening out what's going on here. Now, value difference is 800, but value possibility is 3,600. There's no downtime. History question, has this task already been done? If the Latin task has not been done, and it's lower on the list, that would indicate that it, could bring better opportunity because it's a doorway that has not yet been touched. Is there anything going on in your game that would change the course of your choices? Is this task limited time? No, it is not. Now we're looking at Launch Attack and Club Wars. Now this one is lower than both the other options. The value op is low. The opportunity is good. The value difference is 1,000. The value possibility is 3,000. So lower than Latin. What is your war timer on? Do you have enough time? For example, this is extremely important with a task like this. This is a launch attack in Club Wars, meaning not just launch rare attack, not launch legendary attack. Launch attack in Club Wars, meaning if you do this task, you open up the possibility of it reoccurring. Now, given that you have 30 tasks remaining, you need to take into consideration that it could come back in the streaks and your club could not be in war. That would indicate that you would not be able to do that assignment and you would fail the streak. Now, that is an extreme risk to your success in winning to do this task, especially when you have higher options that bring better opportunity overall, right? So we can already pretty much rule this one out. Now the history. Has this task already been done and has it come back worth a lower value? G, what's going on in your game? Is your club in war? If so, for how much longer? By doing this task, like I just said, you open up the possibility of it coming back and not being able to do it. Because we have started the streaks, or we haven't started the streaks, this is highly risky. Because of this, it would be wise to let this task sit until after the streaks are completed, obviously taking into consideration that you would have enough time to finish the remaining tasks with enough wartime, okay? So it really comes down to either the VU launch for 2K or the Latin upgrade for 1200. The correct choice. Okay, so how do we get to the correct choice? Latin has a higher opportunity, higher value possibility, and VU just came in, so we would benefit by opening up this doorway and we would benefit by opening up this doorway. This damn fucking thing. Some of these typos are ridiculous. I'll be fixing this today. And opening up the Latin to come back worth a higher value. So basically, that's what that's supposed to say is that because VU just came in, it is likely that you've been working this doorway for a while. And even though it is 800 points higher, you would benefit more from opening up a better doorway and doing something that has the higher possibility of a high premium. Okay? As a high-level CoM player, the technique is to rotate your highest main tasks until you have no more main tasks left, or until you see a window of opportunity to open up better premiums by rotating low premiums. For example, let's say you have done 10 tasks in a row, all of which have met the criteria for main task. Okay, this is important, you guys. But the last 5 tasks, you keep getting only 2K tasks that are non-premium or premium. Doesn't really matter. They met the main task requirement, which is 2,000 points or higher. So you have low-valued premiums in your list. So let's say you're looking at your list and you did a 2,000 keys, you did a 2,000 epic, you did a 2,000 launch attack and club wars. So you keep getting tasks that are considered main tasks. But in your list below, you have a 1,200 Latin, you've got a 1,000 London delivery, a 1,000 upgrade Green Valley. Those are all tasks that have the ability to be worth 3,000 points sitting down below that you're not doing. So by not doing the 2,000 point main task, you're opening up much better possibilities moving forward. See what I'm saying? So essentially what you want to do is anytime you do see a window of opportunity where you can say, okay, I can afford to let this 2,000 point task sit, being how it just keeps giving me right around the same value, and take this time to open up a better possibility. You're not going to see very many windows of opportunity, you know, when you're doing good. But what'll happen is you'll end up in a situation where you're getting a steady 2K average versus being able to go up into the 2,400 average by rotating your low premiums. So just be aware of that, okay? Launch VU for 2K, and you have done this several times at this value. The other 2 options to pick from are production task. Okay, hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. Let me go back to where we were at. For example, let's say you have done 10 tasks in a row, all of which meet the criteria for main task. But the last 5 tasks, you keep getting only 2,000 point tasks of either non-premium or premium placements. You have low-valued premiums in your list. It would be wise to start to rotate those low premiums. For example, let's say you have a launch VU for 2,000, and you have done this several times at this value. The other 2 options to pick from are a production task for 1,400 and an upgrade regional for 1,000. The production task is worth 400 more than the upgrade, okay? But the upgrade is the better option because it has better opportunity to come back worth 3,000 points. Now, this is links to certain videos, CoM tips. I've labeled them for what they are. Use extreme caution when rotating streaks, high-level walkthroughs, how to win Mega at level 99, regional tips, and I'm going to continue to update this as time goes on and as I continue to put videos out. The Missy's Mega walkthrough, part 1, 2, and 3, high-level CoM prep, high-level player tips, and then CoM math part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Now, this, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this. This here is based on low-level CoM. Okay? But the technique is the same. So essentially, you're doing the same exact formula, except for the rules, the definitions to the tasks change. That's the only difference. When you play high-level CoM versus low-level CoM, you're just saying what you know about each task and comparing them and organizing them into categories based on what you know about the task and how they affect you. And that changes greatly whether you're playing with upgrades or without upgrades, with regionals, without regionals, and you know, that really does. It really does change how you do pretty much everything. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through and I'm going to update some of these typos here, get this video uploaded for you guys, but essentially, to kind of wrap things up here, you are breaking down your entire list into categories of main, rotatable, no touch. You are then doing all of your main tasks first, unless one of your main tasks is on the lower end, 2,000, and it's just repeating itself, in which you need to rotate a low premium to bring in better premiums, okay? So essentially, the majority of the time, you're wanting to rotate low premium options to bring in higher premiums. That's the whole goal here. The only time you really do non-premium options is when they are of main task points values or they open up better opportunities. For example, like I just said, a hotspot non-premium has a low algorithm rate. So the opportunity would be higher and rotatable. For example, War Booster, another great option. That is a non-premium option with a low value possibility, but it has such a low algorithm rate that it brings in such good opportunity moving forward. Okay? All right, you guys, good luck.